You are doing everything right. You are waking up early, skipping breakfast, walking after every meal, sleeping a full 8 hours, and still nothing. The scale sits there like it's mocking you. Your waist measurement hasn't budged in weeks. You have tried the Mediterranean diet, the carnivore diet, the keto diet, and probably 3 different versions of intermittent fasting. You have sweated through spin classes, lifted weights until your hands were raw, and counted macros with the precision of a scientist. And yet, that stubborn layer of belly fat just refuses to move. At some point, you have to stop and ask a question that most people never think to ask. What if the problem isn't your effort? What if the problem is something deeper, something internal, something that no amount of discipline or willpower can fix on its own? Here's the truth that the fitness industry doesn't want to sell you, because the truth doesn't come in a pretty package with a monthly subscription. You cannot out-exercise a broken engine. You can run every morning, eat clean every afternoon, and fast every evening. And if one specific organ inside your body is congested, overwhelmed, and struggling to function, all of that effort is being wasted. Your body will hold on to that belly fat like it's a survival treasure. It will resist every attempt you make to burn it off, not because you are weak, not because you lack discipline, but because the hardware running the entire fat-burning system is malfunctioning. And until you fix that hardware, nothing on the outside is going to change what is happening on the inside. That organ is your liver. And what is about to follow might be the most important thing you have ever learned about your own body. Most people think of the liver as nothing more than a filter that cleans up after a rough night of drinking. You party, the liver cleans the mess, end of story. But that understanding barely scratches the surface of what this organ actually does every single day of your life. The liver is the metabolic headquarters of your entire body. It processes nutrients, regulates blood sugar, produces bile, manages hormones, and most importantly for this conversation, it is the primary site where fat gets burned. When fat is released from your belly during exercise or fasting, it doesn't just disappear into thin air. It travels through your bloodstream directly to the liver, where it gets converted into usable energy or broken down into ketones. The liver is the furnace. Everything else you do, the cardio, the fasting, the clean eating, it's all just feeding wood to a fire that the liver controls. If the furnace is broken, the wood just piles up. The medical term for a liver that has become stuffed with its own fat is hepatic steatosis, but most people know it by its more common name, fatty liver disease. And here's the shocking part. This is not a condition that only affects heavy drinkers or people who are visibly overweight. It is a silent epidemic quietly spreading through populations around the world, affecting nearly 1 in 3 adults globally. Many of these people look completely normal on the outside. They are active, they watch what they eat, and they have no obvious symptoms. But inside their bodies, their liver cells are packed with fat droplets, and because of that, the entire fat-burning system has quietly ground to a halt. Scientists have even given this phenomenon a name, TOFI, which stands for thin outside, fat inside. These are people who look healthy in the mirror, but are metabolically struggling in a way they can't see or feel until the consequences become impossible to ignore. To really understand why a fatty liver makes belly fat impossible to lose, you need to picture how energy moves through your body. When everything is working properly, fasting or exercise sends a signal to your fat cells to release stored fat into the bloodstream. That fat then flows to the liver, which grabs it, processes it, and burns it for fuel. It's a clean, efficient system. But imagine what happens when the liver cells themselves are already crammed full of their own fat. There's no room left. The fat arriving from your belly gets rejected at the door. It has nowhere to go, so it keeps circulating through your bloodstream, raising your triglycerides, causing inflammation, and eventually being deposited right back where it came from, on your organs and around your waist. You are literally trying to empty a warehouse by sending in more trucks, and every single truck just gets turned away at the gate. The fat goes around in circles, and you wonder why the scale never moves. So how does a liver end up in this state in the first place? The answer is not what most people expect, and it has nothing to do with how much fat you eat. The primary driver of the modern fatty liver epidemic is something most people consume every single day without a second thought: fructose. Here's what makes fructose so uniquely dangerous. When you eat glucose from bread, potatoes, or rice, every cell in your body can use it. Your muscles grab it, your brain burns it. It gets distributed and used up efficiently. But fructose is completely different. Only the liver has the enzymes to process it. So when you drink a soda, eat a candy bar, pour yourself a glass of orange juice, or reach for the dried mango in the back of the pantry, every gram of fructose in that food goes directly to your liver and nowhere else. When that flood of fructose hits liver cells in large quantities, the liver has no other option but to convert it immediately into fat through a process called de novo lipogenesis. That phrase literally means the creation of new fat from sugar. It's happening inside your metabolic headquarters, and most people have no idea it's going on. But the damage doesn't just stop at making new fat. There's a deeper, more destructive process that happens at the cellular level that explains why some people seem permanently broken when it comes to weight loss. When the liver is overwhelmed by a massive surge of fructose, it burns through its cellular energy so rapidly that the process generates uric acid as a byproduct. High uric acid levels inside liver cells cause direct damage to the mitochondria, the tiny structures inside every cell that are responsible for actually burning fat. Think about what that means for a moment. You are not just creating new fat at a record pace, you are simultaneously destroying the machinery that was supposed to burn it. The mitochondria get damaged, the fat-burning capacity of your liver collapses, insulin resistance begins to take hold inside the organ itself, and once insulin resistance sets in, the liver cannot properly respond to hormonal signals, which triggers a cascade that leads to chronic inflammation, blood sugar dysregulation, and the kind of deep, stubborn fat that makes every diet feel completely useless. Now here's where the science gets genuinely fascinating and where most health advice completely fails you. Even if you stop consuming sugar today, even if you eliminate fructose entirely from your diet starting this moment, the fat that is already trapped inside your liver cells cannot just walk out on its own. Fat needs a vehicle to leave the liver and enter circulation where the rest of your body can burn it as fuel. Without these ships, the fat stays locked in the liver no matter what you do. And here's the critical piece that almost nobody talks about. You cannot build these cargo ships without a nutrient called choline. Choline is the raw material the liver uses to construct these fat-carrying vessels. Without enough choline, the warehouse fills up, the ships never get built, and the fat never leaves. Here's the devastating reality about choline. Studies estimate that up to 90% of the population is deficient in it, and the reason comes down to two major shifts in modern eating habits. Decades ago, people regularly ate organ meats, liver, kidney, heart, which are extraordinarily rich in choline. Then we stopped eating those foods as diets became more processed. On top of that, well-meaning but misguided nutritional advice spent decades telling everyone to avoid egg yolks because of concerns about cholesterol. So people started eating egg white omelets and tossing the most nutritious part of the egg straight into the trash. Egg yolks are one of the single richest dietary sources of choline on the planet. Eating 3 to 4 whole eggs every single day is not just a protein strategy. It's a targeted, clinically relevant intervention that gives your liver the building blocks it needs to ship fat out of the organ and finally get the system moving again. When you look at it through that lens, the humble egg yolk becomes one of the most powerful liver-healing foods you can eat. Once your liver starts building those fat-carrying ships again, the fat still needs a clear pathway to leave the body. That pathway is bile. The liver produces bile continuously, and it gets stored in your gallbladder until food arrives and triggers its release. Bile acts like a river that carries processed fat and fat-soluble toxins out of the liver and through the digestive system. But in a congested liver, bile doesn't flow freely. It thickens, it stagnates, it becomes slow and sluggish, and when that happens, the entire export system backs up. The ships are built, but the river has turned to molasses. To get bile flowing again, you need to use something that evolution already wired into your biology thousands of years ago: bitter compounds. When your tongue detects a bitter taste, it sends an immediate signal to your liver to release bile, a defense mechanism your body developed to flush out potential toxins from plants. You can use this ancient reflex deliberately by incorporating bitter foods into your daily routine. Arugula, dandelion greens, ginger, lemon water, and even black coffee all trigger this bile flushing response. Black coffee in particular has been shown in clinical research to reduce liver inflammation and stimulate immediate bile flow. Your morning cup is doing more liver work than you ever realized. Now that we're clearing the pathways and getting fat moving out of the liver, we also need to turn on the liver's internal cleaning system. The liver detoxifies in 2 phases. Phase 1 breaks down harmful substances into intermediate compounds, and Phase 2 neutralizes those compounds and prepares them for elimination. To drive both phases effectively, your liver needs sulfur-containing compounds found in cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and cauliflower. But there is a specific upgrade that makes an enormous difference. Broccoli sprouts, the tiny young sprouts that look nothing like the vegetable you probably grew up hating, contain up to 100 times more sulforaphane than fully grown broccoli. Sulforaphane activates a genetic pathway in your cells called NRF2, which essentially flips on your body's master antioxidant defense system and dramatically accelerates the breakdown of environmental pollutants, many of which get stored inside fat tissue. Adding broccoli sprouts to your meals is not a wellness trend. It is a biochemically targeted intervention that helps dissolve the molecular glue keeping your liver congested. There is one more hidden saboteur that you need to eliminate, and it is hiding in almost every restaurant kitchen and processed food product on the market. Industrial seed oils, soybean oil, corn oil, canola oil, sunflower oil are extraordinarily high in linoleic acid, a type of polyunsaturated fat that is highly unstable and prone to oxidation. When you consume these oils, the linoleic acid gets incorporated directly into the membranes of your liver cells. Because it oxidizes so easily, it creates a chronic inflammatory environment inside the liver that makes fat accumulation worse and actively promotes fibrosis, which is the early stage of scarring. Essentially, these oils are gluing the fat inside your liver while simultaneously damaging the cell walls meant to keep everything functioning properly. Replacing these oils with stable traditional fats, grass-fed butter, ghee, tallow, or coconut oil removes this source of ongoing oxidative damage and gives your liver cell membranes the structural integrity they need to actually repair themselves. Finally, there's one thing your liver needs that no supplement or food can replace, and that is uninterrupted time. Every time you eat, even a small snack, your liver immediately shifts into processing mode. It deals with the incoming nutrients, manages the blood sugar response, and stays busy handling digestion. During this time, it cannot perform the deep internal cleaning and repair work that allows it to heal. This is the real clinical power behind strategic fasting. When you extend your fasting window to at least 16 hours, your liver burns through its stored sugar, called glycogen, and once that's gone, it turns inward. It begins breaking down the triglycerides stored inside its own cells to keep the rest of your body running. A cellular recycling process called autophagy kicks in, and the liver literally starts consuming its own fat reserves. For anyone serious about reversing a congested liver, pushing to an 18-6 protocol, fasting for 18 hours and eating within a 6-hour window a few days each week, accelerates this process dramatically. It's not about starving yourself. It's about giving your liver the one gift it desperately needs: space and silence to clean itself out. Here's the most important thing to take away from all of this. The liver is the most regenerative organ in the human body. It's literally designed to heal.
Clinical studies have confirmed that with the right nutritional inputs and the right fasting strategy, measurable reductions in liver fat can happen in as little as 14 days. You'll likely feel the difference before you ever see it on the scale. The brain fog that has been following you around every morning will start to lift. The afternoon energy crash that sends you to the coffee machine at 3 o'clock will begin to fade. Your sleep will deepen, your cravings will quiet down, and that belly fat, the fat that has resisted every diet, every workout plan, and every moment of willpower you've ever thrown at it, will finally start responding. Not because you found more discipline, but because the engine running the entire system is finally clean, functional, and ready to do its job. Stop fighting your body from the outside. Fix the filter on the inside. When the machine is clean, everything else finally works.